Welcome back, everyone. We just closed on our house yesterday, so we are officially owners of a new hanok. So I thought I would give you a kind of a tour of what a hanok is and what you might find whenever you're looking at a second-hand or a used hanok, especially one that hasn't been maintained very well. There were quite a few surprises that we found, but I think overall we're pretty happy with our purchase. So I'm going to show you some of the features of the house and how it's laid out. Okay, so from the front gate, you come in and you have this garden, and over here is where they were growing cabbages to make kimchi. So we actually probably won't keep the kimchi garden, but still thinking about it. I actually want to turn this area into more of a forest with bamboo actually along the back, and then a couple nice trees and maybe a water installation, a fountain around here. Over here, they have a compost heap, which I was a little bit surprised to see in the city, but it was an older couple, so they still do composting, which I feel good about, but I don't know if I'll keep doing it. And then behind, they actually just have some rocks with sticks piled up. I don't know what's under there yet, but I assume it's just more rock. The previous owner really liked natural rocks. That's why there's rock installations kind of everywhere around here. Over here is we thought it was an outhouse, but it's actually where they would keep like pitch or coal or something to do heating. So we will probably demolish that. So this is a little concrete maru, and coming to the house, you can start to see how it's actually a hanok. Hanok is known for these types of pillars. This is actually what all the house's weight is sitting on, and then it has these cross beams connecting all of the pillars. I don't believe that pillar is original, but I think that was a new installation. Actually, this whole side with concrete blocks are, I think, new. Or at least done in a different time than the other side of the house over here. This area is a new bathroom that they put in recently, in very Western style. I think it doesn't match the house at all, but yeah. So you can even see that the roof doesn't connect over here. Okay. To our right, they kindly left a couple kimchi pots, which are very iconic. So we're going to use them to try to make some things. What I did like about this place is that it does have quite a few water faucets and access points. They also have a vine growing up here. They have a bunch of clotheslines. I should really do something about it because it's going to swat me in the head. And then this is our little garden. Whenever we first saw it, there were a couple more trees, but they left most of them, so we're pretty happy about that. I still don't know if I'm going to keep it exactly like this. I don't really like this concrete walkway, but we'll see. This is a persimmon tree, Korean persimmon. And then, which one? One of them was a walnut, chestnut tree? I don't know. I'm not sure. And then this is a evergreen. Okay, then we have this kind of overhang, and this overhang actually needs to be replaced, but basically it's just an addition. I liked it because there's a nice wind or a breeze that constantly comes through this kind of tunnel. You can see the flag, not the towel flapping there. And there's basically always a little breeze here, so I don't really know why that's happening, and I'm just glad that it is because it'll feel great in summer. Right now it's a bit cold. So this is the one of the main walls for the, this would lead into the kitchen. Also hanok style because you can see the cross beams connecting, and then at the top, at the very top, basically here, there are two blocks sitting on top of each other, and that usually means that they are slotted to fit into each other. Okay, so the whole thing with hanok is that you didn't have to build it with nails. You can just slot the boards into each other, and you can see a little bit, maybe a little bit better if I get under the kiwa. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. So anyway, you can possibly see that there's some board sticking out there, but you can't see where it's slotted anyway. So, okay. So now we'll try to go indoors. And all of this is concrete. I've noticed that there's a lot of effort to try to make the water run away from the building down on every side of the house. I think water pooling might have been an issue here, but now everything really has a slope to it. And then there is a drain in the concrete over there. So everything actually should go that way. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when the first rain comes. One of the first things that I noticed is that there's this vent here. That usually means that there's an empty space underneath, which is a bit strange because Korean houses very often have concrete slabs as a base, as a foundation. So coming in, stepping on the floor, at least this floor, very old door, and you can see that it doesn't actually connect together very well. And that is actually a major problem all around the house. And one of the reasons that the owners wanted to change this house is because it was too drafty. And looking through everything, I completely understand why it's too drafty, because there's basically cracks everywhere. Okay. So yeah, coming in, looking at this floor, just stepping on the floor, you can already tell that, or I can tell at least that seems to be hollow underneath. It's not very well supported. It feels like joists, and it feels like the floorboards are starting to get old and not be able to hold the weight very much. So I suspect there's a type of joist system going all along here, and then this would be a raised floor. I'll talk more about that later, but that has some implications because this room has concrete slab, this room has concrete slab, this room has concrete slab. There's a huge drop for the kitchen, and it is also on concrete slab, and there's a room in the back that has concrete. This is actually the only floor that doesn't have a concrete slab under it, and the joists appear to not be made very well, so we'll see what happens there. Coming into a hanok, there's a couple things that I was looking for. First off, this is very old style, maybe 70s, 80s paneling. The only thing we've really done, well, we haven't really done anything, we've just had a walkthrough, and I've started to take off some of the paneling, pull up some of the weird stuff that they had around. So for example, what I was looking for are these blocks. So in a hanok, you'll find these main beams. And these main beams are holding up a crossbeam, one of the main crossbeams. And then in the ceiling, you'll have a crossbeam, and then you should have basically another beam that goes up, and then that will hold your main pillar. And the main pillar is really important for obviously holding up the roof, but in hanok, that is the kind of key feature of the whole hanok. So I was looking for that, and we found one main pillar over here. And then if we go into this room with no light, but this picture is also hanging on a pillar, and I believe that's one of the other main pillars. So there's a cross beam here, and there's a cross beam here, and then there's also a pillar here, so that means there's a cross beam over here. Now, the first thing we found that was actually good for us, you might not be able to see it in this picture, is this little storage area. So for some reason they built this storage area, which doesn't seem very convenient to me, but it looks like maybe canned goods or something. And there's this traditional style crossbeam here. And whenever we found that, we were very happy because this is exactly the way that hanok crossbeams tend to look. They're very pretty, and it appeared like it was actually built in a traditional way. We've later, let me go through here. So yeah, I forgot to say, this is the main bedroom, or at least it was the main bedroom. This window is facing west, so it actually got quite good sun last night, but today it's not getting very much sun. This is an old lacquer clothes dresser, and then a very old picture, and we're trying to figure out where that's from. So I told the previous owners they could leave some stuff if they wanted to. I can probably make something out of it. One interesting thing is this hole. This hole was the air conditioning unit that they took with them. And using this hole, I can kind of see in and see what's going on. To me, it looks like that there is a plaster. First layer outside is a plaster, second layer is concrete, third layer is styrofoam, and then the fourth layer is another thick layer of concrete. I'm not really sure why they would do it that way. They were very cold. I think it was just the cheaper option, but that has some major implications. Now, this is the warmest room in the house because they focused on it a lot. They also have these very wide windows, and this window fits on this wall, but in other rooms, the walls are not so thick. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so this room has a couple pillars that are very interesting. This pillar is going to be most interesting for us because this is holding up our crossbeam right above us. I am 6 foot, or about 182 centimeters, and like this, let's say this phone now is about with my head, right? So this door is quite small, and that's what you would expect to find also in hanok, are very short doors. Door to the kitchen is the same thing. The problem in the kitchen, or at least I think it's a problem, is this very, very big drop. So it's actually a couple, it's actually almost a foot, I would say, of drop. Again, we have the pillars on the other side. There's a pillar here that's very important, and then there's also a pillar coming across here. So what I suspect happened is that they had this pillar in proper hanok style, kind of hanging across like they do. And they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't want to move it. They didn't want to change it. So they just built this weird storage place above. The problem is that my head almost touches the storage space. And I don't think it looks very good. So I think I'm going to, what I would like to do is raise the floors in the kitchen to be even with the other rooms. This room is actually a little bit taller, so I'm considering this a bathroom. And then that would make that completely in the way for everyone's head, so we might have to move the pillar or find some other option for it. I'm not sure what to do yet. So one thing you'll find, especially whenever you're coming into a very old house, is mold. Of course, we were expecting, or at least I was expecting, to find a lot of mold in a lot of different places, and we found it here. So this is kind of a probably an original plaster, and then this is poured concrete, and this, I believe, is newer at least. There's no insulation. This is freezing cold, and then this is the frame. You can see kind of some mold that was at least trying to start growing, and this was behind the fridge, the refrigerator. So it's actually a little bit better than I expected, but we still found some mold. Okay, so along here, it looks like some burn marks maybe. I'm not sure what happened there, and then also some mold along here, and you can see some mold here. So these cabinets, I'm really not sure what to do. I don't particularly like the cabinetry. I'd like something a little bit more traditional, but we'll see. Okay, and then panels at the top, and that goes into a raised ceiling, and there's just dead space up there. This, if you can see this room, there's another pole here that goes directly into the first bedroom. All of this is ondel, which is a heated floor system. The problem with this ondel is that it goes into a concrete slab directly. So this is a new concrete slab with floor heating put in. I wish it wasn't the concrete slab type, but there's nothing I can do about that now. So considering turning this into a bathroom, actually. It's actually much bigger than the old bathroom, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So, right. Everything is pretty much as you would expect a house to be. Coming into, I'm going to go to the room to the right in a second. Here we have a new bathroom. They put it in only a few years ago, even though the decor looks like 60s. So this is a new Korean style bathroom, fairly modern. Drain in the floor. No fan, just open the window in this case, which I'm surprised didn't cause more mold. Yeah, but this is a pretty standard setup for a bathroom, and actually not too small. The door is a really strange metal door. I'm not sure why, but yeah. Okay. And this was another bedroom. I don't know what it was before the bedroom, but I suspect that it was actually a separate house. Again, a very small door. Going around a window that will get some decent light here in a couple minutes. This is still pretty early, and the sun will be coming in from the east in a second. This is just a plain white wall, but there was a door here originally that went outside. For some reason, they covered up the door, which is where all the sunlight would actually come in from. They made a lot of weird design decisions. Here is where I've started to take away some of the wallpaper, and this is basically what I wanted to show you. Whenever I first got into the house, I expected a lot of strange things, and I really wanted to see, is it traditional hanok underneath or not? What we have is a concrete slab wall, and then we have the pillars like you would like we saw before, and then they were covering the walls with this maybe, I don't know, 1/16 quarter-inch foam for insulation. And then they had wallpaper, and they basically just have multiple layers of wallpaper. You can see this paper that's on the concrete directly, and that is hanji. So they used to put hanji just on the walls directly, and that was their insulation. If the house was sealed up enough, it was probably enough, but I don't think it was sealed up enough. Then it got too cold, so they put this foam insulation really thin. I don't think it would really do much, but I guess it's better than nothing. So one thing that they did, they put a board over this door, and this door leads into a kind of a washroom that they're using for the washing machine and things like that. It's just an old bathroom, essentially. And they kept the door, pretty smart, I guess, and then they put this, let's say, half-inch pink foam in really odd places, also keeping some air gaps in there. So I don't really know why they were trying to do that, but anyway, I don't think it really helped very much. This does still work. I got it to go open, and it goes directly into the washroom. Okay, so since we're coming back out, I'll talk about this. So in this bedroom, we have the concrete slab, and this is also ondol with the concrete done only a few years ago. And then we have a bit of a drop, and we have this floor. You probably can't see it now, but I've taken up this side panel that they broke whenever they were putting in the bathroom. And what we have here is a very poorly made joist. Basically, it's just a 2x4 stuck in there to hold up this board, which we asked about before we bought it, and the guy lied to us that it was, he didn't know what was wrong with it. The problem with it is that it wasn't made properly at all, ever. So, yeah, we probably have to go in and fix at least this, but I'm guessing also all of the joists in this room. So this is still raised, and there's no concrete slab, and I don't think we'll do concrete slab. I think we'll just keep some, or replace all the joists and then replace the floor and do floor heating throughout. The problem is that now with the concrete slabs, all of the rooms are slightly elevated, so we need to do some matching on here. Now this is the only room that I've really destroyed. Basically, this is our test room. Basically, I just wanted to see what's the truth of the house, essentially. There's no light in here now because I am taking it down, but you can see I've gotten into the ceiling. I really wanted to know what was up there, and it wasn't quite like I expected. It's not a traditional hanok ceiling. It's more of a, it seems like in the 70s, 80s, it was a slapdash kind of system they just put in very quickly. All of this is also the concrete wall, block wall, with hanji, and then they have the cross beams going across, and then a main beam up here. And then this is one of the main pillars holding up that cross beam for this section of the house. And you can see the blocks in here. So my hope and my goal is that this is not a weight-bearing wall, just that pillar is the weight-bearing section, and that we can actually destroy this entire wall and then make a walkway all the way through. So I hope that's the case. If not, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Okay, underneath here is also a concrete slab. They literally just put a mat down over it so it doesn't get too hot, but it's just concrete with a mat directly. Here you can see hanji on top of the cement or concrete, and then they have about a half-inch styrofoam here. Even though this isn't an exterior wall, they put concrete there because the concrete is letting the cold in. Now, the biggest problem with this house, and you can probably see it from this picture, is that light. The light is the biggest problem, and there's a breeze here now, partially because I'm on an open ceiling, but partially because there's that light there. All of these frames, the concrete is pulling away from the frame just slightly, and it hasn't been maintained, so that all of that wall needs to be redone. Now what they would do is just basically throw more foam or throw more wallpaper up and then call it a day. They didn't actually fix most of these problems, and if they would have fixed these problems, they could have had a fairly tight seal, and that would have helped a lot with the breeze. So I'm going to fix all of that. I'm not sure the best way to do it yet. Basically, they have a concrete slab, and then on the exterior, they have plaster. So plaster exterior walls, about a 1/4 inch thick, and then the rest is concrete. Now remember, on the other side of the house, they have much more concrete. They completely redid the master bedroom. So we have to kind of think about how to even that out as well. So basically, instead of fixing stuff, they just threw a bunch of paper over it and hoped that it was okay, and it's not okay. This wall, there's a pillar here. This actually goes into the washroom, and all of this is concrete. So I'm also hoping that this is not a load-bearing pillar, and then I can remove that and then open up the space a lot more. We'll see. I don't know if you've noticed, but the entire time the ceilings have been very, very low. Whenever you go into the ceiling, I'll try to take it. It's not going to be bright enough, though. So you can possibly see some things, which are light coming through. Now, thankfully, there's no light coming through at the very top of the ceiling. Or at least not a lot, maybe 1 or 2 spots. But though that light is coming through at the soffits and the end of the roof. So what that means is that all of the soffits need to be replaced first off, and then some of the cracks need to be sorted up. But down here as well, there's a lot of light coming through and a lot of breeze coming through those cracks. Okay, so that's basically the house so far. I just wanted you to think about, there's a low ceilinged house, but on the outside there's a lot of ceiling. There's essentially another floor's worth of space above this. I think the way that this is set up is a bit ridiculous. Like, I think that they made really small rooms to try to heat them better. But at the same time, they didn't actually fix any of the main problems that prevent you from heating a room properly. So I don't really know. I don't really know why they made most of the decisions they made. But yeah, we'll work on that. So I'm thinking about taking up the roof. I want to actually see the rafters, go through and insulate the roof properly, raise all of this, or at least, raise all of the roof, raise the kitchen, replace the floors, tear down as many walls as we possibly can, keeping those main beams. And then possibly moving the bathroom, and then hopefully tearing down this wall as well. So that way we can actually integrate the bathroom into the rest of this living area. Yeah. So that's the plan for now. It's a pretty big project, but that's what you will get if you buy a house from the 80s with a very old couple living in it that hasn't been maintaining it for a long time. One of the main things we have to do, which I can go outside and show you, I think. Sun's starting to come through. So one of the main things that we have to do, which we're thinking about now, is work on the roof. So the roof, you can kind of see it from here. This roof area, the roof is concrete, concrete kiwa. This style roof is called kiwa. You can see the sun starting to come in on it now. So this type of roof is called kiwa. And this kiwa roof is probably mostly original. It looks like they've tried to repair it in a couple different places, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like they've tried to repair it. So what we're going to do is replace it with a ceramic kiwa roof. They left a mixing bowl for us, which I like. This is the boiler. So we need to replace the concrete kiwa roof with a ceramic roof, and the ceramic roof is actually more traditional. At the same time, I'm going to see if we can get the traditional style cross beams for the roof as well. So then, if we can replace the roof, which needs to be replaced, with the traditional style kiwa, that'll make it look very nice. And then if we can also do the cross beams at the same time, then the inside will look very nice, like a proper traditional hanok, which is kind of missing right now. Instead of having these round pegs, they have square pegs, basically 2x4s cut off. It still, I think, looks very nice, but not quite as nice as the traditional way. They've also, whenever they built this bathroom, they just put a kind of metal piece over it, and I would like that to be fixed into the main roof. So if we redo the roof, we'll probably make some changes there too. Yeah, so that's the basics of the house so far, and what our plans are. Some of you might be thinking, why would you possibly want this piece of trash? And the reason is, if we can get it back to half of its former glory, or half of the way that hanok normally are, and I think we can, then this will be a really beautiful, nice little place. They made some weird decisions, like trying to do kind of Western style brick. It doesn't really make sense to me. Whenever hanok before was quite beautiful, what I think motivated all of it is that concrete and brick is easier to maintain. This is actually more traditional. So in the back you have this plaster, and this is kind of let's say standard hanok style. You have a plaster exterior, and then you have these cross beams going through and the kiwa on top. It looks really pretty. Also on this side needs cleaned up a little bit, but you have these cross beams with plaster, and this is much more traditional. And actually I like this style much more. I think they made the decisions they made because they wanted to save money. They wanted something easier to maintain. but they could have done it a very different way, and I think they would have gotten actually better results. Um, so we'll try to fix a lot of the things that they didn't think about. Basically, I want to redo all of this in white plaster, and then probably fit boards that look very similar to these cross beams. Like, so for example, they cut into this cross beam for some stupid reason. So we need to fix that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then try to get the house all matching. Not remove this brick, I think, but just cover it with a type of plaster. Unless this is just a panel, we'll see what that is. And then repaint and seal up the beams. Make sure that they're all good and not rotting out yet. Make sure that they're all as plumb as they can be. And then, yeah, it'll be a pretty nice little traditional house once we get done with it. Of course, we're going to put modern conveniences in. I'm going to try to put a maru here, kind of a sitting deck, essentially, and then open this up for a lot more sunlight using traditional doors with glass. So traditional doors plus glass along this entire wall, and then that will look out onto a pretty decent sized garden, especially for town. Our neighbor has a bigger garden, but they've probably been here forever. So, okay. So I think that's pretty much the tour of the house. We have a lot of plans for it. It's definitely a lot to do. If we wanted to, we could have just lived in it the way that it was, but that's not the way that I tend to do things. So it's going to be a lot of work. For example, it has no gas. We have a oil boiler right now, so we're going to connect it to city gas, but that can't be done in winter, and it's just the end of December now. So that will be done in... when will be done? Probably April, May, June. We'll get gas in, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I have a lot of hopes for this house, and if it doesn't work out, then at least we can put a Western style roof on it and be done with it, and that would look all right too, because at least we still get a garden for our puppies and things like that. Lots of concrete. I'm not really sure why they like concrete so much, but I think this will be a decent traditional little house and garden. So, yep. So that's it for today. Thank you very much.